Is we are literally shifting through billions of parallel realities every second. You don't have the same body every second. You have another and another and another and another. This is what he's talking about when we say we are co-creators with creation. You are literally creating a new reality every second. This is the power of our spirits. Physical reality, from his perspective, is a projection of consciousness. It's a dream that we're having as spirits. We never leave spirit. That's our natural state. We're there right now. But a portion of our spirit is dreaming that we're not. And that's what physical reality is. So we are constantly projecting billions of times a second, like the frames on a film strip, one after another, a new frame, a new frame, a new frame, a new frame, that gives us our sense of movement and continuity and time and change. That's how we've created the experience of physical reality. And therefore, we actually are new people every second, billions of times a second. So he's basically saying when you can really wrap your mind around the fact that you are new every moment, you can define yourself however you wish to be, because you're always going back to zero, 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 zero. And whatever you define yourself to be in the next moment is what you experience your reality to be. And that includes the idea of the future and the past, because he's basically saying you actually change your past every time you change your present, because the present is all there is. The idea of the past is just another present that you've shifted out of, but it's still going on, much like the TV show that's still playing when you change the channel.
So is it like as if there's sort of like, I imagine it like a stack of timelines that just exist as a stream, or is it more like I'm looking at like a tree branch?
Yeah,
billions of possible realities keep splitting and splitting and splitting to the point where it's
basically saying
like
they're already split.
They're already split.
But we're not necessarily experiencing them from a certain focal point until you shift, until you change. So he's saying the structure of existence never changes. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And all of that's existing in whatever analogous structure you want to use as an example, tree branch or stacks or whatever. Doesn't matter. What changes is our relationship to it, our perspective of it, and our experience of it. And that's how creation expands, because the structure never changes. It is what it is. But we're experiencing that structure from a multitude of different points of view, billions of times a second, to create this experience of physical reality. So the structure is all there, but when we decide to experience certain portions of it, certain perspectives of it, we're expanding our souls, our growth, our experience. Creation is expanding in its experience of us, because we are creation from another point of view. So it takes a while to get used to the concept, but that's the way he sort of explains it.
So we are all those timelines, we are all those parallel realities. How much do they play into each other?
Well, actually, from his perspective, they always do. What we consider to be one timeline can actually be made up of thousands of timelines. So in other words, it depends on what frame you want to jump to next. So in the next moment, you make a decision. Well, that decision may be more germane for another timeline. So if you make that decision, he's saying you're actually jumping timelines, but you think it's the same timeline. It's not. So you're constantly changing your present, which means you're constantly changing your past, because that present, if that timeline, has a different past. So he's actually said, you may not know what your past was 5 minutes ago. You think you know what it was, but that's the past you have to remember for the present you're in. And it automatically just seems like it's always been that way.
Oh, you just don't know.
You don't know. Now, sometimes there is bleed through or slippage for whatever reason. Dejavu is one of those, where I've done this before. It feels like I've been here before, because you may be picking up on a parallel reality, or you may be picking up on the spirit level where you've planned this out. And now it seems familiar because you're remembering that you planned this out, or you're connecting into a parallel reality where another version of you has already done this, and therefore it feels like I've done this before, even though I haven't. So there is bleed through in a lot of different ways between parallel realities, between physical and non-physical reality, that can create some of those things that we find mysterious, like deja vu, and also things like psychic functioning. Because again, all you're doing is tapping into a myriad of probabilities that all coexist simultaneously, and a psychic isn't really predicting the future. They're sensing the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made. And they're sensing what the probable pathway is that that energy would take you on if you didn't change it. So sometimes a prediction can actually render itself obsolete if you don't like where it says you're going. And therefore, it's not that the prediction was wrong, it's just that you've changed it by knowing about it.
Do we ever stay on a timeline very long? Like, do people stay on a timeline, or are we constantly jumping,
We're
moving?
constantly
And
billions
are we
of times
accelerated now more than ever in this timeline jumping?
Yes. Acceleration is not so much a product of shifting faster, because we shift billions of times a second already,
Pretty fast.
which is already very fast. What he's saying is it's more a matter of what frames you're going to that make it seem as if you're skipping frames, you're accelerating. So maybe instead of going through process 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe you have done something to change what you need to experience, and now you're going from 1 to 5, 5 to 10, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you may be skipping frames, so to speak. That's what makes it seem like you're going faster, is there's less continuity between the frames. It's not such a smooth transition. Things are changing rapidly because you're skipping interim frames, but you're still shifting at the same rate.
Like, I would like to think that I make good decisions that put me on a higher timeline. Is there really such thing as a higher timeline?
There are timelines that are more representative of higher frequencies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Ones that are more positive, ones that are more negative. Positive is more connective, collective, expansive, therefore usually representative of a higher frequency. Negative is usually disconnective, experientially, diminishment. That means it's more of a lower frequency, generally speaking, because it's not about connecting anymore. It's about dissociation, and dissociation is a lower frequency. So yes, there are higher and lower frequencies represented by different timelines. So that's why he gives us what he calls the formula, because he's basically saying the formula is literally a navigation tool. By following the formula, you are navigating yourself in the direction of the timelines that are of a higher frequency. So you're shifting more to those than the other way.